Hello, welcome back to Hunter Tune. Today we're going to be continuing the turbo build on the S2000, and we're going to get right into it, guys. We got the intercooler mounted at the end of the last video. So the intercooler is now mounted, and it looks freaking awesome. I just kind of wanted to start there. I don't know why, I just wanted to put the intercooler up in there and get it off of the bench. So the intercooler is now mounted. It's a big 4-inch VS Racing core. And I use these on all the stuff that I want to run more than like 500 horsepower with. The 4-inch core supports quite a bit of power, and it's a very good price point, budget for power capability kind of intercooler. So 31 by 12 by 4 fits most stuff, or you can kind of make it fit. It fits in this S2000 like a frickin' glove. So anyways, moving on from the intercooler install, we're going to get under the hood here. And as you guys can see, this thing is completely bone stock, including the factory airbox. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get rid of the airbox, or we're going to remove the airbox, I should say. There's just some clips around here. Wonder if this thing's even got a, wonder if it's got like an air filter in it. Oh, it does. It's got like a cone. I don't think that's the factory filter. Looks pretty dirty in there. So get rid of that. Wow, this must be a actual thing for an S2000, because it's got a little, like a mount down in here that it pops into. But, ooh, that thing's seen some better days. She's pretty dirty. Still made 200 horsepower. But, yeah, anyways, we're going to get the tube removed and all of the, the vacuum and evap stuff. Get all that stuff taken off, and then probably get rid of the strut bar, or take it off for the time being, so we can have more access to things. And once I get the airbox and everything removed, pick up with you guys and we'll get a better look at what's underneath all of this. Alright guys, got the tube off. Now we're just going to get a couple of these 10mm bolts for the airbox. There's one here, one up here, one over there somewhere, and hopefully the rest of this shit will come off. There's a lot of vacuum lines and stuff running to the stock S2000 stuff going on up here, so I'm going to have to figure out what we do with all that stuff. This is my first S2000 build, so learn with me. Alright, so I got the airbox off. Like I said, I just pulled the exhaust manifold heat shield. I pulled the cooling fan that was on this side, and then noticed the serpentine belt was making some noise on this thing, and it's about coming apart. Good thing it didn't break a couple hours from home, because I've been driving this thing quite a bit. So good find there. I'll get a new replacement build for it. Also did get new motor mounts, so I'm going to replace those while I'm in here with Megan Racing motor mounts, because these mounts, I had issues with my last S2000 that I had when I was like 18 or 19 years old. I blew the stock motor mounts clutch kicking it too much. Also removed some hoses and stuff that were over here. There was like an evap hose, and this hose right here goes up to this solenoid back here. I don't know if that's like an EGR or some other evap thing that we'll probably have to discard. Do some more weight reduction on the EPA items. But yeah, now I'm just working on getting the exhaust manifold off. We'll see where we end up from there. Alright guys, so I got the S2000 up in the air, and I've just yanked off the exhaust manifold. So here is the stock S2000 header, and Evans Tuning is a good example of what to do on your S2000 if you're looking for power, naturally aspirated, and the stock exhaust manifold is not one of the items that you need to upgrade. Just take a look at this thing. It's literally a big tube, long tube header, stock. Pretty impressive unit for a factory exhaust manifold. Really cool. Just had to remove a bolt right here, and then I had to remove the bolts connecting it to the test pipe and catback exhaust. And if you guys didn't know, these little spring bolts right here, when you put your exhaust together, like a stock exhaust, and you have these little spring bolts, don't throw them out. Use these spring style bolts, because what that is is it's actually your factory flex pipe. Those bolts allow flex in the exhaust so it doesn't end up cracking the manifold or cracking anywhere else on the exhaust. You need some sort of give in the exhaust system so it can move and flex a little bit when you're under power and clutch kicking and doing all sorts of, you know, kid stuff. Just keep that in mind. If you want to run your exhaust solid, you know, like all welded or bolted all completely solid, you're going to need a flex pipe, otherwise it's going to crack something on the exhaust. Just a quick tip. So anyways, I got the manifold off. I might test fit the turbo manifold quick and see if everything's going to fit or if there's going to be, you know, issues with anything. But you know, I've been working on this thing for like maybe 35-40 minutes, and minus mounting the intercooler, that took like an hour last night. But just making headway slowly but surely. I know sometimes motivation is hard to come by, and I've been guilty of it myself lately, but honestly guys, an hour goes a long way. If you cut out distraction, leave your phone somewhere else, and just take out some bolts. That's all it is, just taking bolts out, putting them back in kind of thing. Don't overthink it, and just start looking at stuff and taking it apart, and you'll get there. All right guys, I've been kind of grinding away at this thing, and I did get the turbo manifold bolted onto the motor, and everything seems like it's fitting fairly well. It is a little bit tight to the AC lines down in here, so I might have to bend these AC lines up out of the way and maybe heat wrap them with something. But other than that, it's fitting, like I said, fairly well. I sent these guys some flanges for my turbos, or my turbo. I sent them the inlet and the outlet flange of the turbo, same with the wastegate, and honestly, the downpipe fits almost perfectly, and everything seems like it's perfect, or really close. I'm gonna obviously I'll be able to finagle with it a little bit because it's a V-band, so I can rotate it a little bit to get it to fit exactly how I want, but honestly, everything seems to be fitting really well. I'll be able to shoot the intercooler piping straight down and do a 90 off the intercooler like I was talking about. And yeah, I just gotta figure out how the dump tube is gonna get routed on it, because the dump tube is this. It's got a sharp 90 coming right off of it, and then it shoots down under the car. The only other thing that was kind of an issue is the manifold would not fit with the VTEC solenoid on. And the pressure switch actually broke because I was trying to smash the manifold on in there. So I'll have to probably either delete the pressure switch, which we do on a lot of older Hondas too, the B series and D series stuff. We usually just wire it, so it always has solenoid power, so the switch is just, you know, non-existent. Because VTEC really isn't even gonna work unless you have oil pressure, so the pressure switch is kind of stupid in my opinion. So we'll have to figure out if we gotta plug that or if we gotta get a different VTEC solenoid or what we have to do. But that's the only issue so far. Like I said, everything else is fitting fairly well. We're gonna have to route some stuff, figure some stuff out as we go, but I'm gonna call it a night for tonight, and I'll probably pick up with you guys when I get back out here tomorrow, figuring out what else we have to do and get everything else situated. So it's coming together really quick though, guys. It's been, honestly, I've probably been working on it for 2 hours now, just kind of playing around with stuff and figuring it out, but dealing with a good company like Straight Line Motorsports has definitely made this process pretty seamless. I'm really impressed with the fitment so far. So we got the Hunter tuned 44mm wastegate on there. I still got to figure out the dump tube, but the intercooler fits really nice from VS Racing. And yeah, we're gonna make a badass little S2000 here coming soon. So see you guys in a minute. All right guys, so picking up where we left off, it's been like a day, so I can't remember exactly. I test fitted the exhaust manifold, the turbo, and the downpipe and everything, and all that looks like it's gonna fit pretty good. So I moved on to figure out where the hell we're gonna drain the oil on this car. For the turbo, we need to feed it oil, and we need to drain it back into the motor. So I was doing a little bit of reading on the internet, and I saw that guys drain the turbo drain into the front timing cover. They also have done the oil pan, and they've also done the bed plate or the girdle. So I was doing some looking on this thing. I pulled the oil pan off to kind of get an understanding. This thing is a front sump, so this is the transmission side back here, and it's a front sump engine, so all the oil sits right here. And when it sits in the car, it sits like this. So when it's sitting like this, I can't drain it to this side of the oil pan because the AC compressor and stuff fits right here. And I've honestly seen some other guys on YouTube drain the turbo drain into the drain plug. Which, I don't know if you guys know how a turbo drain works, but you can't drain the turbo drain into a drain. You have to drain, you don't have to. You should drain the oil from the turbo into the engine above the oil level. Turbos will prematurely fail or leak oil or do weird stuff if you drain it into the oil level. Like if you're not draining above the oil level, you're gonna have way more issues with your turbo smoking, leaking, all that kind of stuff. So I opted to drill the bed plate, the girdle, which was a little bit of a job, let me tell you. And I might have screwed up a little bit. I might have drilled a little too far. Hence why the oil pan's off. Usually when I do like turbo LS trucks and stuff like that that have a thick aluminum pan like this, or drilling into aluminum to tap for the oil pan, I usually use like a step bit. I usually use one of these guys. I put a bunch of grease on it and I drill with a bunch of grease on the drill bit, so you minimize the amount of metal shavings that get into the motor. It is just aluminum, so it's not really like your motor can't chew it up a little bit. It'll be all right. Not really, but I'm not super concerned a lot of times with just little aluminum pieces. And I usually send it. But I started drilling with the step bit like this, and this thing was nearly impossible to get up in here. With the drill bit, I had to like run it upside down and pretty much have the drill bit something like this so it would fit and be able to drill a fairly straight hole. So that's what I did. I didn't really know what was behind it, but I saw videos, or not videos, but I saw pictures online of guys drilling the bed plate right here for the turbo drain. So I just started drilling, and the drill bit caught something inside behind the bed plate. And I didn't really notice, but I ended up drilling through a little bit of the girdle. Might have screwed up, but I think it's gonna be all right. I really do. I really think this will be fine. I don't think it's gonna cause issues, but I'm gonna show you what I did. So we're draining the oil right here. I drilled and tapped it already. Got all the shavings out of the motor, out of the oil pan, everything like that. But up in here, you can kind of see my finger, hopefully, maybe. Let me get a flashlight. Now you can kind of see a little bit better. There we go. Okay, so I drilled, and when I was drilling, you can see I hit back there, which, I don't know, never had one of these motors apart, but I hit it. I definitely drilled and hit the girdle. Oops. But good news is I really don't think that it's going to be an issue. I don't think that's like a huge structural part of the main girdle. It's just like an outside kind of area where like the oil pump is supported and stuff like that. That's my bad. I definitely drilled a little too far. And then I couldn't get the stepper bit in any farther because I noticed I was hitting that. So I had to make a drill bit. Not really make a drill bit, but none of my other drill bits would fit. So what I ended up doing was cutting. So this is about as long as I could use for a bit with it still fitting in the frame. So I had this bit at my house, which was slightly too small, and then I ended up cutting like a normal drill bit. I don't know where the hell I put it. It's not like I need it anymore, but pretty much took a normal drill bit and I just like cut the sharp nub off. So it was just a little nub sticking out of the drill, and I hammered that through, and then I ran my tap. Then I ran the tap through. This is 3/8 pipe thread, and then I got a fitting that is 3/8 pipe to 10 AN. So now this guy threads right into here, and with it all the way tightened down, there's still room in here for the oil to drain, and it's above the oil level. And yeah, so this is not an oil passageway or anything super crucial. It's just a little spot I nicked. You know, it happens on these big jobs, but
no, it doesn't.
Yeah, well, I fucked up, all right? I don't know what else to say, okay? Sorry. So now that I have the oil pan and shit off, I gotta reseal the pan back onto the motor, and then I might do my motor mounts, get that out of the way, and go from there. And I might, oh wow, you can't see a damn thing. Might do the motor mounts next, and just some other little odds and ends things. Possibly pull the trans and put the clutch in right away, but I don't really want to right now. I kind of want to wait for some other parts to come in before I do the clutch. I kind of just want to get it running as is and make sure the turbo kit stuff works, and then we'll do the clutch later. And I think this clutch will hold some power.
That is the most ass backwards thing I think I've ever heard.
You know
Here,
what?
hold on, ready? Hold on. You know what I'm doing right now?
What?
I'm playing you the world's smallest violin.
Oh.
Because you're a baby.
Well, I don't want to do the clutch yet. Let me get some of the other shit done, and then I'll do the clutch later. We'll see how much. Who knows, man? Maybe this clutch will hold 500 horse.
Doubtful, but
well, you never know.
Good faith.
Yeah, good faith. Okay, well, let's. I'm gonna keep going and show you some more shit I fuck up. Hello, guys. So it's been a couple days, and I want to just come out and say I'm sorry. I am 100% terrible at picking up the camera and filming stuff as I'm building and as I am, you know, wrenching. I hate picking up the camera because it just takes away momentum and pace for me. If I go pick up the camera, I don't get anything done, it seems like. I'm way better at talking and explaining stuff. So I'm sorry about that, but I got the S2000 almost ready to fire. I've done a lot on this car in the last like 2 days. I replaced the motor mounts. So the motor mounts in the car were pretty wore out, and when I removed them out of the car, they came out in 2 pieces. So this piece is supposed to be in here, no more. So I swapped out for some Megan Racing motor mounts. These are the differential bushings, which I'm going to put in soon, but I did swap out the motor mounts and the transmission mounts. So it has Megan Racing transmission and engine mounts now. You can see up in here the new motor mounts, and then back here is the transmission mounts. So I swapped those out. I got the drain line done. I got the oil pan back on because I had taken the pan off and cleaned the shavings out of it and checked out where I drilled. So I got the drain line all made. This is all connecting to the turbo already. I used Hunter tuned AN fittings and AN line. All can be purchased on my website, huntertune.com. So I got the drain line finished. I have the feed line done up top. I just put a Wix oil filter on right here. I did kind of MIG weld some bullshit exhaust on it. So I connected from the downpipe off of the Straight Line Motorsports downpipe. It comes down here and then back up around the motor mount and then back down, and I connected it into my NVIDIA catback exhaust. So I did connect it to a 2.5 inch catback, and I know that's going to limit the horsepower potential of this setup, but I don't plan on going crazy with the car right away. I honestly just want to get this thing back up and going and have a turbo S2K to cruise around in the beautiful Wisconsin weather we're having currently. So well, I'm not going to go for huge power on this setup right away. Like I said, it's just a really fun car to drive, and I'm not going to be drag racing it or anything right now. I just want to have a turbo S2K. That's really all it comes down to it. I do have an upgraded clutch for it, but I think I'm going to see what this clutch can hold, because the guy I bought it from, Earl, he just put a brand new clutch in this car, like right before I bought it. It had like 100 miles on it. So I'm going to see what that clutch can take. I think it'll take a little bit of power. It seems like it grabs pretty good. Intercooler's done. Up top, I mounted the turbo manifold permanently. So I'm going to lower the car down quick and show you that. All right, so this is the good stuff. Let's check it out. So here is everything mounted up. I got the manifold tightened to the head. I just reused the factory metal exhaust gasket. Don't ever use those composite shit gaskets. Just reuse your factory header gasket if it wasn't leaking. I did get the VTEC solenoid back on. You can see it's a very tight fit. And I actually plugged, so I took the pressure switch out of it, out of the VTEC solenoid, and it's like a weird thread pitch. So I just honestly took a 1/8 inch pipe thread tap. I ran it through where the pressure switch was, and I just put a plug in it, like an Allen head plug, to plug off the pressure switch port on the VTEC solenoid, and then bolted that back on. I got the factory oil pressure sensor removed, which is right below the VTEC solenoid, and I put a T down in there. You can't even really see it. It's really tough to see it, but you can see the feed line coming off of it. And then that gold brass piece is actually my oil pressure gauge sensor. So I got an AEM X Series wideband and an AEM X Series oil pressure gauge that I'm going to utilize on this car. And the X Series oil pressure gauge is on the one end of the T, and then on the T end is my 1/8 inch pipe thread to 4AN fitting, which you can get at huntertune.com. And then I had this 4AN line. This is a pretty short line. I want to say it's probably only like 18 inches or something like that. This is just a 4AN 18 inch stainless braided 4AN line that I had laying in my storage unit because I bought it for my Turbo Grom, but it was slightly too short, and it's perfect for this freaking car. So ended up utilizing that. I got the V-bands all tightened down. All there. I got my wideband sensor installed, which I'm going to just kind of lay up here for now. I got a brand new serpentine belt on it from Gates. I think it's a Gates. Where the fuck is it? Yeah. So I got a brand new Gates belt on it. What else? Got the Hunter Tune wastegate mounted on. I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do with a dump tube. I might use the one that Straight Line sent me, but the way I ran the drain line, which is down, and then it shoots right into the pan, or the girdle down there with a 90. There's gravity is feeding the whole time, so that's going to work out great. Yeah, and then I also just took a pry bar in between the manifold and these AC lines. So you can see there's clearance now. I still might wrap them, but I took a pry bar and I just kind of bent them up. And that seemed to give me clearance on the AC stuff. So I'm going to be keeping AC on this car like I mentioned. And yeah, I'm going to fill this thing up with oil. It's still on the stock ECU. It's probably going to throw a bunch of check engine lights, but I want to fire it up and hear it because I got the full exhaust hooked up. I spent most of the day doing that, just welding a bunch of shit. And I had to go to the farm store and I got a mandrel 90 and a mandrel 45 3-inch and then a straight section. It was 82 bucks. I'm like, damn. So, and then like I said, I just welded it onto the 2.5-inch NVIDIA catback. I think it's gonna sound really cool, and I'm super excited. I'm just gonna get this thing fired up, and then in the next video, we'll probably do the intercooler piping and stuff like that. So I'm gonna get oil in it and go from there. Of course, I'm using a Wix oil filter. It's a 51334, and then I only run Schaefer's in my stuff, guys. I really believe in this oil. I love it, and I run it in everything, literally, like my Grom, plural, Gromza, my Harley, my S2000, my Mustang runs Schaefer's all the time. I mean, literally everything I fucking own. My Eco Diesel pickup truck, it all runs Schaefer's 540. Like, literally all of it does. So, yeah, I just buy this shit in the fucking crate and let her eat. So let's fill this thing up. There we have it, guys. Car's running, no leaks, and man, it's freaking quiet. It's like I said, it's still in the stock ECU, stock injectors, everything like that. I don't have the intercooler piping hooked up yet, but I wanted to verify that it didn't have any exhaust leaks or oil leaks, and man, it sounds pretty good. Kind of hear the turbo a little bit. Once there's piping on it and stuff, they usually sound a lot better. Yeah, back here it's pretty quiet. But that's gonna wrap it up for now, guys. At least it's up and running. I still gotta finish the dump tube for the wastegate and do the intercooler piping. I did get my 3-inch 90s next day on Amazon. So I got 3-inch 90-degree couplers I'm gonna put off the intercooler. And then I think tomorrow I'm going to attempt to TIG weld. And I'm gonna try to make one-piece piping from the hot side to the turbo and then the cold side of the intake. We try to make them one piece. Just have a coupler at the turbo and a coupler at the intercooler, and a coupler at the throttle body and a coupler at the intercooler. That's the goal, at least, or the plan. One last thing too I was gonna mention is this car has like it almost sounds like a rod knock. I don't know if you can hear it. It's super faint, and I can kind of hear it when I'm underneath the car and it's running. It's just like a super faint, like a clack, 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 clack. It's not consistent. It's not with RPM. I thought it might be something in the serpentine system, so I got a new belt and stuff, and it's way quieter up front now. I used to make like some belt noises and shit. And to my surprise, when I pulled the oil pan off, there was no shavings or anything, so, and there's nothing in the VTEC solenoid, so I don't think it's a bearing issue, unless it's just got one like slightly wiped out main or something. It's super faint, like you can't even hear it, but it was doing this before, I'm just hoping it doesn't bite me in the ass later. I got an oil pressure gauge now, so hopefully I'll be able to verify that it's got good oil pressure and stuff once I get all that stuff hooked up. But yeah, like I can't even hear it now. Oop, there it was. Right there. I don't know. It was doing that before I took it on 2 4-hour road trips, so. And it hasn't gotten any worse. I don't think, like I said, I don't think it's a bearing thing, but. The car's always kind of smelled like clutch or brakes. Like it smells like clutch a little bit now too. So I was wondering maybe if there's something in like the, because it sounds like it's coming from the trans, like where the flywheel is, and then it's just resonating through the engine kind of thing. So I'm wondering if maybe it's just got a shoddy input bearing or something. Yeah, but anyways, the car's running good. And like I said, no leaks. Everything went together pretty good. Just took a little while to do the exhaust and stuff like that. The oil lines and stuff all are great. Yeah, it's pretty sweet, guys. I'm excited to kind of finalize this thing in the next coming days / weeks, whenever I get time. But have a great night and a better tomorrow, guys. God bless. We'll see you later. And leave a like and comment what you think about the Turbo S2000 build.